This right here is the RedmiBook 15 Pro, one of the cheapest, in fact not one of, the cheapest 11th gen Intel laptops out there in the market. And by cheapest, I mean like seriously, priced at 50,000, there is nothing that comes at this level. However, when I talk about undercutting its competition, there are some corners also being cut. So, is the RedmiBook 15 Pro worth your buck, or are the corner cuttings a bit too much that you just want to invest into something else? Let's find out. This is Varun from GTR and you're watching my in-depth review of the RedmiBook 15 Pro. Let's get started. Alright, first things first, let's just talk about the design. It's pretty minimal and that's not a bad thing honestly. You do get a Redmi logo on the backplate as opposed to the clean back that we saw on the Mi laptops, but other than that, everything is super subtle. As you would expect at this price point, this is a polycarbonate bag with brushed metallic finish that definitely looks good, but also attracts smudges quite easily. Now in terms of I/O, on the left side you get a DC charging port, a full-size HDMI port that's crammed between two USB 3.2 Gen 1 ports. Over to the right side, we get a Kensington lock, an RJ45 LAN port, a USB 2.0 port, a full-size SD card slot, and a 3.5mm headphone jack. Personally, I find that USB 2.0 port a bit weird. I mean, this is 2021 that we're living in, and the fact that this thing does not come with a USB Type-C port is really baffling. Redmi could have just removed that USB 2.0 port and replaced one of the USB 3.2 ports with a Type-C port to just balance things out. The laptop passes the one-handed opening test, but there is a decent amount of flex in the panel, and that hinge isn't the sturdiest. Alright, so moving on, we have the display. And the 15.6-inch panel is basically just a numbers game at this point of time. See, this is a TN panel and I have to say it's not a good one. The colors are quite poor and the viewing angles are just bad. Now I do admire the extra real estate that you get here, considering most of the competition offers just a 14-inch panel, but the quality here isn't that great. Next up, we have the keyboard, which is, well, equal parts good and bad. Let's talk about the positives first. The key travel here at 1.5mm is pretty good and the springy feedback is very good. There's also a slight tactile sound of the scissor mechanism which I get, especially while fast typing, so that's really good. The layout is easy to adapt to and the keys are decently spaced out. Well, maybe a little too spaced out. See, here's the thing. This is a 15.6-inch chassis. And I see absolutely no reason why Redmi could not have offered a full-sized keyboard here. And to be honest, I could have let that slide, but the fact that there's no backlighting here really upsets me. This kind of cost cutting is something that I just can't digest. Thankfully, the touchpad was there to lighten up my emotions. Now, it's not the most smoothest out there, but it's a great experience, especially at this price point. Thanks to the massive chassis, the touchpad is quite big and can easily accommodate my large fingers. All the gestures work fine and I faced no issues whatsoever. Now, unlike Xiaomi's laptops, the RedmiBook Pro does come with an integrated webcam right at the top. The quality, however, isn't really appealing. I mean, there's a lot of graininess here and my face hasn't been highlighted as good as the lighting here. I mean, I have 3 lights falling on my face right now, as you can see by my face shadow here. But my face apparently hasn't been lit up well by the webcam here. The frame rate is decent enough, but yeah, I mean, it's nothing exciting or anything great or something here. Now, as for audio, I would have thought that if you're not giving a full-size keyboard, you could have accommodated the speakers up at the top, right adjacent to the keyboard. Unfortunately, that's not the case here either. Instead, you still get bottom-firing speakers. Now, to Redmi's credit, they are very loud, but don't expect any exceptional kind of quality there. It's loud, but it's not the greatest audio experiences. Now, before I get to the performance, just a quick bit about the software here. So you get the Windows 10 Home single language with a licensed copy of MS Office Home and Student 2019. There's some usual bloatware that's from Microsoft's side, but Redmi also bundles the MIUI Plus app. Now, as opposed to what Xiaomi showcased in the MIUI 12.5 briefing, the MIUI Plus app here is basically just Mi Drop. You can use it to transfer files from your Xiaomi devices to the laptop. The process is quite seamless, and in order to use it, you'll just have to download the APK to your Xiaomi device. And my testing, it worked very well, but yes, it's restricted just to Xiaomi devices for now. Alright, so let's talk about performance. So these are the specs of our unit, and as I said, this is the cheapest 11th Gen i5 laptop on the market right now. However, you have to look closely to understand the game here. While every other brand offers the i5 1165G7 processor, the RedmiBook comes with the i5 11300H processor. This is a newer launch chipset from Intel that comes with IPU to basically offer faster clock speeds while keeping everything else similar. And that shows. See, in terms of benchmarks, the RedmiBook Pro 15 is no slouch. I did a comparison of this laptop with a similarly priced 1135G7 processor, and the RedmiBook actually does come out on top. Yes, the margin is a little bit slim, but yes, the RedmiBook does outperform that, specifically in the CPU department. The GPU, however, is not up to the mark as to the other Intel processor. And well, there's a very clear reason for that. The 11300H processor here is, as Intel calls it, a mid-range gaming processor that's supposed to be coupled with a dedicated GPU, such as the likes of the Nvidia MX450. Instead, Xiaomi is just bundling it with nothing else, to be honest. It's just a standalone chipset that's coming, so yes, there is a drop in the GPU performance. But then again, it's not a significant drop. I mean, obviously you cannot game on this thing, but at the same time, normal editing in Photoshop should be just fine. Now, one thing that I would just like to highlight is that the SSD here is from Lexer, which, well, isn't that great. See, the sequential read-write speeds are fine, but the random read-writes are not up to the mark. So I would honestly suggest, if you're intending to buy this thing, just replace the M2 SSD down the line. Now, speaking of replacing, digging inside this laptop is super easy. Just unscrew everything and bam, you're inside. Here you'll find a single heat pipe and a single fan cooling the CPU, with everything else soldered onto the motherboard with practically zero upgradability. Now, interestingly, there is space for another RAM slot and a dedicated GPU. So what I guess is that this is just a scene of Redmi reusing motherboards from a different laptop. Below it all, you'll find a 46 watt-hour battery, which is about what everyone else offers at this price point. However, the 300H processor isn't the most power efficient, especially when you compare it with the 1135G7 processor. So basically, your battery life is sort of less as compared to the competition. So in my testing, I was averaging about 5 hours, which is about decent, about 30 to 40 minutes less than the competition, but it's fine. To Redmi's credit, this thing does come with fast charging, and as per Redmi's claim, this thing can go from 0 to 50% in just 35 minutes. And well, my testing was able to justify that claim. So at rupees 50,000, is the RedmiBook 15 Pro worth your buck? Well, let's just say it's not an easy recommendation. Let's consider the competition for a bit. For about 55,000 rupees, we can get the options from Lenovo Slim 3i, the MSI Modern 14, and various variants of Asus's VivoBooks. Now, they're all priced around 55,000, so the RedmiBook definitely undercuts them in terms of the price. However, that undercutting comes with a lot of compromises. All the other laptops offer a great display, although it's 14 inches, but you also get a backlit keyboard and Type-C ports. Also, the options from the likes of Lenovo and Asus, they also allow you to upgrade the RAM. Whereas the RedmiBook, well, it's only a single 8GB RAM available and you can't upgrade it in any manner whatsoever. Basically, for 5,000 less, you do get a 5 to 10% increase in the CPU boost, inch more in terms of the screen real estate, and that's about it. If you found this video helpful, make sure to let us know by giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel for more awesome tech content. Speaking of which, we are also running a giveaway for our first 10,000 subscribers, and the instructions for that are down there in the description box. So go ahead and check it out. Lastly, if you have any suggestions, make sure to comment down below, and I would love to reach out to you and chat with you guys. Till then, this is Varun from Guiding Tech, and I'll see you in the next one.